Do you have a minute? Begins with a tired single mom making a food delivery to a billionaire's mansion and ends with the kind of love story you never see coming. But how did one quiet dinner turn into a forever family? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Danica Price looked at her watch and sighed. It was already 8:30 p.m. and she still had 3 more deliveries to make. Her feet ached from standing all day at her regular job at the diner, and now she was working overtime for Good Eats delivery service. But she didn't have a choice. Rent was due in 3 days, and she was still short by $200. Just a few more hours, she whispered to herself as she adjusted the rearview mirror of her old Toyota. The engine made that familiar squeaking sound that worried her. Another repair bill was the last thing she needed right now. Her phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Rodriguez, her elderly neighbor, who was watching Malik tonight. Malik finished his homework and is in bed. He wanted me to tell you he loves you. Danica smiled, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. Her 8-year-old son was the reason she pushed through days like this. Everything she did was for him. She texted back a quick thank you and started the car. The GPS directed her to her next delivery, an address she'd never been to before. As she drove further away from the city, the houses grew larger and more spaced apart. Finally, she turned onto a private road that wound up a hillside. This can't be right, she muttered, double-checking the address. But it matched. When she reached a large, ornate gate, she hesitated before pressing the intercom button. Good Eats delivery for... She checked the name on the order. Mr. Thorne. The gate swung open without a response. Danica drove up the winding driveway, her old Toyota looking completely out of place against the backdrop of perfectly manicured gardens. At the top of the hill stood a modern mansion of glass and stone, perched on the edge of a cliff with the ocean view stretching out behind it. Wow, she whispered, parking her car and grabbing the insulated bag with the food order. She approached the massive front door and rang the bell, shifting her weight from one tired foot to the other. The door opened slowly, and Danica found herself face to face with a man who didn't look anything like what she had expected. August Thorne, she recognized him immediately from magazine covers and news segments, stood barefoot in dark jeans and a navy sweater that looked expensive but worn. His dark hair was slightly messy, as if he'd been running his hands through it, and there were shadows under his eyes. Good evening, she said professionally. I have your delivery from Marino's Italian. August Thorne stared at her for a moment, not in a creepy way, but as if he was surprised to see another human being. Thank you for bringing it all the way up here. His voice was quiet, tired. He looked around the empty driveway. Did you drive up alone? It's quite remote. Company. Policy, Danica said with a practiced smile. I have your total here. Do you have a minute? He interrupted, then looked almost embarrassed. I mean, would you mind bringing it in? It's quite a lot of food. Danica hesitated. She had other deliveries waiting, but something in his voice, the loneliness maybe, made her nod. Sure, just a minute. She followed him into a massive open-plan living area. The interior was all clean lines and minimalist design, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. Despite the beautiful space, it felt empty. There were no photos on the walls, just large abstract paintings in dark colors. No clutter, no signs that anyone really lived here. How you can set it on the kitchen island, he said, gesturing to a marble countertop large enough to seat 8 people. Danica placed the bag down and started unpacking the containers. Eggplant parmesan, caprese salad, garlic bread, and tiramisu, she listed. It's a lot for one person, August said, watching her arrange the containers. I always order too much. Danica nodded politely and handed him the receipt to sign. Well, enjoy your meal, Mr. Thorne. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. Would you sit with me just for a little while? Danica turned back, confused. I'm sorry. August ran a hand through his hair, looking uncomfortable. I'm sorry, that's inappropriate. It's just, I haven't really spoken to anyone today. Or yesterday. He attempted a smile. Forget I asked. Thank you for the delivery. Danica should have left. She had other deliveries waiting. But something about the quiet sadness in his eyes made her pause. Are you okay, Mr. Thorne? August, he corrected gently. And yes, I'm fine. Just... He gestured vaguely at the empty house. It's quiet. Danica checked her watch. Her next delivery wasn't for another 20 minutes, and it wasn't far. I can stay for a few minutes, she found herself saying, but I do have other deliveries. Relief washed over his face. Thank you, please sit. He pulled out a stool at the island. Would you like some of this food? I really did order too much. Oh, I couldn't. Please. I hate eating alone, and it will just go to waste. Danica hesitated, then sat down. She hadn't eaten since lunch, and the smell of the food made her stomach growl. Just a little bit, then. August grabbed plates from a cabinet and served them both. I don't usually do this, he said as he sat across from her. Ask delivery people to stay. I would hope not, Danica said with a small smile. It's a little strange. Very strange, he agreed, smiling back. It transformed his face, erasing years of weariness. I'm sorry. I'm not very good with people. Anymore, Danica asked, taking a bite of the eggplant parmesan. August nodded, pushing his food around on his plate. I used to be better at it. Before, he trailed off. What's your name? Danica Price. Danica, he repeated. That's a beautiful name. Thank you. She glanced around the enormous kitchen. You have a beautiful home. It's just a house, he said, looking around as if seeing it through her eyes. Too big for one person. An awkward silence fell between them. Danica ate quickly, aware of the time ticking by. Do you have family, Danica? August asked suddenly. A son, she said, her face softening. Malik, he's 8. August's expression changed, becoming more animated. 8? That's a great age. What's he like? The question was so genuine that Danica found herself answering honestly. He's smart, too smart for his own good sometimes. Loves science and building things. He's shy around strangers but talks non-stop once he knows you, she smiled. He's the best thing in my life, August nodded, watching her face. He sounds wonderful. His father? Not in the picture, Danica said simply. It's been just us since Malik was 2. That must be difficult, Danica shrugged. We manage. What about you? Family? A shadow passed over August's face. No, not anymore. Something in his tone told Danica not to push further. Instead, she nodded at one of the large, dark paintings on the wall. Did you paint those? August looked surprised. How did you know? They're not signed by anyone else, and there's paint under your fingernails. He looked down at his hands as if he hadn't noticed. Yes, I paint sometimes, not very well. I like them, Danica said honestly. They're intense. August gave her a curious look. Most people say they're depressing. Are they wrong? He laughed, a short, rusty sound. No, they're not wrong. Danica checked her watch again and stood up. I should go, I have other deliveries. August stood as well, looking disappointed but nodding. Of course, I've kept you too long already. It was only... Danica checked the time. 23 minutes. 23 important minutes, August said quietly. Thank you. He walked her to the door, moving slowly as if trying to extend their time. When they reached her car, he hesitated. Danica, would it be all right if I requested you specifically for deliveries in the future? She should have said no. This was weird, wasn't it? A billionaire asking to see her again? But nothing about their interaction had felt threatening or inappropriate. Just human. The app lets customers request specific drivers, she said carefully. But I don't work every night. I understand. He reached into his pocket and pulled out $100 bill. For your time, Danica shook her head. That's not necessary. You already tipped on the app. Please, he insisted. You're missing other deliveries because of me. After a moment's hesitation, she took it. That money would help with Malik's new shoes. Thank you. Thank you, he echoed. Drive safely. As she pulled away down the winding driveway, Danica glanced in her rearview mirror. August Thorne was still standing there, watching her car disappear, a solitary figure framed by the massive, empty house. 3 days later, Danica was just finishing her shift at Rosie's Diner when her phone pinged with a notification from the delivery app. She almost ignored it. Her feet were killing her after an 8-hour shift, but she needed the money. She checked the order. Marino's Italian again, going to the same address. August Thorne. There was a special request note. If you have a minute. Danica stared at her phone for a long moment. She thought about the empty house, the quiet man, the loneliness that seemed to fill every corner of that beautiful space. She thought about her own apartment, small but warm, filled with Malik's laughter and artwork on the fridge. Before she could change her mind, she accepted the delivery. The drive up to the mansion was easier the second time. The gates opened automatically, as she approached, as if he'd been watching for her. When she rang the doorbell, August answered almost immediately. "You came," he said, sounding surprised and pleased. "I was working tonight anyway," Danica said with a shrug, handing him the bag of food. He looked better than he had a few days ago. His hair was neatly combed, and he wore a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. "Would you like to come?" "In? If you're not too busy," Danica hesitated. "I have one more delivery after this." "Just for a few minutes?" he asked, and there was that note in his voice again, hope mixed with loneliness. She found herself nodding and following him inside. This time, he'd set the kitchen island with proper plates and silverware as if he'd been expecting her. "I'm not being presumptuous," he said quickly, seeing her expression. "I just hoped..." "It's fine," Danica said, taking a seat. "But I really can only stay a few minutes." August nodded and began unpacking the food. "How's Malik?" he asked as he served the pasta. Danica looked surprised that he'd remembered her son's name. "He's good. He has a school concert coming up. He's playing the xylophone." "Does he like music?" "He likes hitting things with sticks," Danica said with a laugh. "But yes, he's actually pretty good." As they ate, August asked more questions about Malik, listening intently to her answers. He seemed genuinely interested, not just making small talk. "What about you?" Danica finally asked. "I know you're August Thorne, tech billionaire, but the tabloids don't seem to know much else." "I prefer it that way," he said. "Privacy is important to me. Yet here you are inviting a stranger into your home." August looked at her thoughtfully. "You don't feel like a stranger." He seemed embarrassed by his own words. "I'm sorry, that sounds odd." "A little," Danica agreed, but she smiled. There was something disarming about his awkwardness, his honesty. "I used to be better at this," he said again. "Talking to people." "What happened?" Danica asked before she could stop herself. August was quiet for a long moment. "Life," he finally said. Lost the usual suspects. She could tell there was more to the story, but she didn't push. Instead, she asked about his work, and he spoke briefly about his companies, his foundations. "Is that why you're hiding up here?" she asked. "Too famous to live normally?" "Partly," he admitted, "but mostly I just got used to being alone." He looked around the house. "Though sometimes when you leave, I notice how the house echoes." The simple honesty of his statement caught Danica off guard. "I should go," she said, standing up. "Thank you for dinner." "Thank you for coming," he replied, walking her to the door again. At her car, he hesitated. "Will you be working tomorrow?" Danica shook her head. "No. Tomorrow is Malik's concert. I never miss his school events." August nodded, looking both disappointed and approving. "Of course, he's lucky to have you." "I'm the lucky one," Danica said. "Good night, August." "Good night, Danica." As she drove home, she found herself thinking about August Thorne's eyes when he talked about the house echoing after she left, about how someone with so much could seem to have so little. She pushed the thoughts away. August Thorne wasn't her concern. She had enough on her plate with work and raising Malik. The last thing she needed was to get involved with a complicated, lonely billionaire. Yet when she checked the delivery app the next evening after Malik's concert, she found herself hoping for a notification from a certain address on the cliff. It came through just as she was getting ready for bed. Marino's Italian, same address. The special request note read, "If you'd like to talk again, A.T." Danica stared at her phone for a long time before accepting the delivery. She told herself it was just for the money, for the generous tips he gave. But deep down she knew it was more than that. Something about August Thorne made her curious, made her want to know more, about who he was, about what had happened to make someone with everything seem so empty. As she drove up to the mansion, for the third time, Danica promised herself she wouldn't make a habit of this. She would keep her guard up. She didn't need fairy tales or complications. But when August opened the door, something in his eyes lit up at the sight of her, and Danica felt a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with the food she was delivering. "You came back," he said softly. "Just for a minute," she replied, but they both knew she would stay longer, and they both knew she would come back again. 2 weeks had passed since Danica's first delivery to August Thorne's mansion. What had started as an unusual one-time encounter had somehow turned into a routine. Every other night, like clockwork, an order from Marino's Italian would appear on her app with the same note, "If you have a minute, AT." And every time, Danica told herself this would be the last time. Yet she kept accepting the deliveries, kept sitting with him at that marble island, sharing meals and conversations that stretched from minutes into hours. Tonight, as she drove up the familiar winding road, Danica couldn't help but smile at the thought of seeing August again. She'd come to enjoy their talks, his genuine interest in her life, the way he remembered every detail she shared about Malik. But a nagging voice in her head warned her to be careful. Men like August Thorne didn't get involved with single mothers who worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. Whatever this was, friendship, charity, a way to fight loneliness, it couldn't last. The gates opened automatically as she approached, and August was already waiting at the door when she parked. "Right on time," he said with a smile that transformed his serious face. "Traffic was light," Danica replied, handing him the bag of food. As they settled at the kitchen island, Danica noticed something different. Instead of the usual pasta dishes, August had ordered a variety of appetizers and desserts. "I thought we could try something different," he explained, seeing her curious look. "A little of everything." "Trying to fatten me up?" she joked. August laughed, and Danica realized how much she'd come to enjoy that sound. When they'd first met, his laugh had been rusty, unused. Now it came more easily. "How was your day?" he asked as they began to eat. "Long double shift at the diner, then 3 deliveries before yours." She tried to stifle a yawn. "Sorry, I'm a little tired." "You work too hard," August said with concern. Danica shrugged. "Single mom. It comes with the territory." "And Malik? How's he doing with his science project?" Danica smiled, touched that he remembered. "He's stuck, trying to build a volcano that actually works. Our kitchen is covered in baking soda and vinegar." "I used to love science projects as a kid," August said, his eyes distant. "I built a robot out of an old radio when I was 10. It could only move forward and make static noises, but I thought it was the greatest thing ever." "Is that how you got into tech?" Danica asked, realizing she knew very little about his past. August nodded. "I was always taking things apart, putting them back together. Drove my parents crazy." He paused, as if deciding whether to continue. "My father wanted me to go into finance like him. When I dropped out of college to start my first company, he didn't speak to me for 2 years. But you proved him wrong. Eventually, he came around when the company went public." August's smile was sad. "Too late for us to really fix things, though. He died a year later." "I'm sorry," Danica said quietly. August shook his head. "It was a long time ago." He looked at her curiously. "What about your parents?" "My mum lives in Florida with her second husband. We talk once a month. My dad..." She shrugged. "Never knew him. That must have been hard." "How you can't miss what you never had," Danica said pragmatically. "My mom did her best. She worked 2 jobs just like I do now." She laughed softly. "I swore I'd never live that life, and here I am." "You're giving Malik a good life," August said, earnestly. "That matters more than anything." "I hope so." Danica glanced at the time and sighed. "I should go. It's getting late, and Mrs. Rodriguez has been with Malik since school let out." "Of course." August looked disappointed but didn't. Try to convince her to stay. Thank you for coming. As they walked to her car, August seemed thoughtful. Danica, would you... He started, then stopped himself. Would I what? He hesitated. Nothing. It's inappropriate. Now you have to tell me, she said, raising an eyebrow. August ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture she'd come to recognize. I was wondering if you and Malik might like to come for dinner sometime. An actual dinner, not delivery food. I could show him the workshop downstairs. I have tools, equipment, things that might help with his science projects. Danica was caught off guard. This was crossing a line they'd silently established. Their relationship, whatever it was, existed in those brief delivery visits. Bringing Malik into it, spending time together outside of those moments, that would make it something else entirely. I don't think that's a good idea, she said carefully. August nodded quickly. You're right, I'm sorry for asking. It's not that I don't... Danica stopped, not sure how to explain. Malik doesn't meet a lot of new people. I'm careful about that. Of course. I understand completely. His voice was formal, hiding disappointment. Good night. August, she said, getting into her car. Good night, Danica. As she drove down the hill, Danica felt a knot in her stomach. She'd hurt his feelings, but what did he expect? She couldn't just bring her son to a stranger's house, even if that stranger was August Thorne, who ordered too much food so she would stay and talk to him, who remembered every detail about Malik without having met him, who looked at her like she was something precious. That night, after checking on a sleeping Malik, Danica sat on her small balcony overlooking the street. Her apartment was tiny, just 2 bedrooms in an old building with temperamental plumbing, but it was home. She'd worked hard for it, for the stability it represented. She thought about August's mansion, beautiful but hollow. About the loneliness, that seemed to cling to him despite all his success. About the way his eyes lit up when she arrived, as if her presence filled some void in his life. Danica sighed. She was being ridiculous. A billionaire wasn't interested in a waitress with an 8-year-old son. Whatever August was looking for, it wasn't her. Not really. The next day, she didn't receive a delivery request from his address, nor the day after. By the 3rd day, Danica told herself it was for the best. Whatever strange connection they'd formed had been fleeting, meaningless. Now they could both get back to their real lives. Then, as she was leaving the diner after her shift, she spotted a sleek black car parked across the street. August stepped out looking uncomfortable and out of place in his expensive clothes. Danica, he called, crossing to meet her. I hope you don't mind. I asked the delivery service where you worked. That's a little stalkerish, she said, but without real anger. I know, I'm sorry. He looked genuinely apologetic. I just wanted to apologize properly for the other night. I overstepped. It's fine, Danica said, adjusting her bag on her shoulder. You don't need to apologize. But I do. August took a deep breath. I haven't had a real friend in a long time. I'm not very good at it anymore. But these past weeks, talking with you, it's meant a lot to me. I don't want to ruin that by rushing things or asking for too much. Danica was touched by his honesty. You didn't ruin anything. I just need to be careful. Malik has been hurt before by his father leaving. I can't risk him getting attached to someone else who might disappear. I understand. August nodded. No pressure, no expectations, just maybe we could still talk sometimes when you deliver food. Danica smiled despite herself. You're going to get sick of Italian food. They have a good panna cotta, August said with a tentative smile. Worth the risk of culinary boredom. I have to pick up Malik now, Danica said, glancing at her watch. Can I drive you? August offered, gesturing to his car. It's getting dark. Danica hesitated, then nodded. That would be nice. Thank you. The interior of August's car was as luxurious as she'd expected, all soft leather and cutting-edge technology. As they drove to Malik's after-school program, August asked about her day, listening with genuine interest to her stories about difficult customers and kitchen mishaps. When they arrived, Danica turned to him. Thank you for the ride and for coming to talk to me. Thank you for listening, he replied. I'll order dinner tomorrow night. I'll be there, she said with a smile. With a minute to spare. August watched as she went inside to collect Malik, a thoughtful expression on his face. The next evening, Danica arrived at August's mansion to find something new on the kitchen island, a large cardboard box filled with science materials, books, and a small electronics kit. "What's all this?" she asked as she set down the food. August looked almost shy. "It's for Malik, for his science projects. I thought maybe you could take it to him. No pressure for him to meet me or anything, just from a friend of his mom's." Danica was speechless, staring at the carefully selected items. It must have cost hundreds of dollars, but what touched her more was the thought behind it. August had listened to everything she'd said about her son's interests and chosen things that would genuinely excite and help him. "August Caedino," she began, not sure what to say. "Too much?" he asked anxiously. "I can take it back." "I just thought—" "It's perfect," she interrupted. "It's just a lot." "I have the resources," August said simply. "Why not use them for something meaningful?" Danica ran her hand over a book about home science experiments. "Malik will love this." "Thank you." They ate dinner, the conversation easier than before. August showed her a new painting he'd started, something with more color than his previous dark canvases. "It looks different," Danica observed. "Happier." "I feel different," August said quietly, looking at her. The moment stretched between them, filled with unspoken words. Danica broke it first, standing to help clear the plates. "Tell me about your work," she said. "The real work, not what the magazines write about." August seemed grateful for the change of subject. He told her about his current projects, his vision for the future of technology, his desire to make a positive impact on the world. "But none of it feels real sometimes," he admitted. "Success without anyone to share it with is just empty." "Is that why you asked me to stay that first night?" Danica asked. "Loneliness?" August considered the question. "Partly. But there was something about you. The way you looked at me like I was just a person, not a bank account or a magazine cover. You seemed real in a way nothing else in my life did." "I am real," Danica said with a small laugh. "Too real sometimes. Bills, broken appliances, a son who needs new shoes every 3 months, that's my reality." "I envy you," August said seriously. "Your life has meaning, connection." "You could have that too," Danica pointed out. "You don't have to live up here alone." "It's not that simple." August's expression darkened. "After everything that happened, it's hard to know who to trust, who sees me, not what I represent." "What happened, August?" Danica asked gently. "You keep hinting at something in your past, but you never say what it is." August was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. "I was married once to someone I thought was the love of my life." Danica waited, sensing there was more. "Her name was Claire. We met in college, before I had anything. She was brilliant, beautiful. We built the company together, dreamed together." His eyes grew distant. "When she got pregnant, it felt like everything was perfect." A chill ran through Danica. She could already tell this story didn't have a happy ending. "There were complications with the pregnancy," August continued, his voice now barely above a whisper. "We lost the baby at 7 months, and then during the surgery, there was more bleeding than they expected. They couldn't save Claire either." "Oh." "August," Danica breathed, "I'm so sorry." "It was 10 years ago," he said, as if that should have made it better somehow. "The company was just taking off. Everyone told me to focus on work, to push through the grief, so I did. I built an empire while feeling hollow inside." Danica reached across the island and took his hand. "That's why you live up here all alone." "Why you don't let people in?" August nodded, looking down at their joined hands. "Until you knocked on my door." The air between them changed, charged with understanding and something deeper. Danica knew she should pull away, maintain the boundaries she'd set, but she couldn't bring herself to let go of his hand. "I should go," she finally said, but made no move to leave. "I know," August replied, his eyes meeting hers, "but I don't want you to." "This is complicated, August. I know that too." He squeezed her hand gently. "But maybe complicated isn't always bad." Danica finally pulled her hand away, gathering her things. "I need to think." "This is all moving very fast," August nodded. "Take all the time you need, I'll be here." As she drove home that night, Danica's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. August's story had touched her deeply. She understood loss, knew what it was to build a life around absence. But she also knew the risks of opening her heart and Malik's life to someone new. When she got home, Malik was still awake, sitting at their small kitchen table working on his volcano project. "Honey, it's late. You should be in bed," she said, kissing the top of his head. "I almost got it working," he said, not looking up from his work. "Just one more try." Danica smiled, recognizing the determination in his furrowed brow. "I have something for you, but you have to promise to go to bed after." Malik's head shot up. "A present? Why? It's not my birthday." "It's from a friend," Danica said carefully. "What friend?" Malik asked suspiciously. "His name is August. He heard about your science projects and wanted to help." She brought in the box from the car. Malik's eyes widened as she set it on the table. "All of this is for me?" "All of it," Danica confirmed, watching as he began to explore the contents with growing excitement. "This is amazing. There's a real microscope and robot parts." Malik looked up at her with shining eyes. "Your friend must be really rich." "He is," Danica admitted. "But that's not why he did this. He did it because he knows how much you love science." Malik was already paging through one of the books. "When can I meet him? Does he know about volcanoes? Can he help me fix mine?" Danica hesitated. "Maybe someday. For now it's just a gift, okay? No expectations." Malik nodded, too engrossed in his new treasures to question further. After much negotiation, Danica finally got him to bed, promising that the science materials would still be there in the morning. As she closed his bedroom door, Danica leaned against the wall, suddenly overwhelmed. The joy on Malik's face when he saw August's gift, the pain in August's eyes when he spoke of his loss, the warmth of his hand under hers, it was all too much. She was falling for August Thorne, and it terrified her, because men like August didn't end up with women like her. Not in real life, and even if by some miracle he truly cared for her, opening her heart, and worse, Malik's heart, to someone else meant risking the stable life she'd built so carefully. Yet as she went to bed that night, Danica couldn't help wondering what it would be like to let August into their lives, to have someone to share the burden, the joy, the everyday moments that made up a life. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to dream of something more than just survival. And it was that thought, more than anything else, that scared her the most. "Mom, when can I meet your friend August, the one who gave me all the science stuff?" Danica looked up from the breakfast she was preparing to find Malik, watching her with curious eyes. It had been 3 weeks since August had given him the science kit, and Malik brought it up almost daily. "I told you, honey. Maybe someday," she said, placing a plate of scrambled eggs in front of him. "But why not now?" Malik persisted. "Is he mean? Is that why you won't let me meet him?" "No, he's not mean at all," Danica said, sitting down across from her son. "He's actually very nice." "Then why can't I meet him?" Malik pushed his eggs around his plate. "Tommy gets to meet his mum's boyfriend all the time." Danica nearly choked on her coffee. "August is not my boyfriend, Malik." "Then what is he?" It was a good question, one Danica had been asking herself every day for the past month. August wasn't her boyfriend, but he wasn't just a friend either. Not anymore. Not with the way her heart raced when she drove up to his house, or how she found herself thinking about him during quiet moments at work. "He's a friend," she finally said. "A new friend. And I'm just being careful, like I always taught you to be with new people." Malik seemed to accept this explanation, turning his attention back to his breakfast. "The science kit he gave me is the best present ever, even better than the bicycle Grandma sent for my birthday." Danica smiled. "I'll tell him you said that." "Can't. You ask him if he knows how to make volcanoes. I still can't get mine to explode properly." "I'll ask," Danica promised, ruffling his hair. "Now hurry up, or we'll be late for school." As she dropped Malik off at school, Danica thought about his questions. Why was she really keeping August at arm's length? He'd been nothing but respectful, generous without being showy, patient with her caution. The truth was she was afraid, not of August himself, but of what he represented. Hope, possibility, a chance at something she'd convinced herself she didn't need or want. That evening she arrived at August's house to find him sitting on the front steps waiting for her. It was unusual. Normally he waited inside. "Is everything okay?" she asked as she approached with the food. August nodded, standing to greet her. "Everything's fine, I just thought—" He gestured at the clear sky. "It's such a beautiful evening. Maybe we could eat outside." Danica looked where he was pointing. On the sprawling back patio overlooking the ocean, he had set up a small table. Candles flickered in glass holders and string lights twinkled overhead. "This looks—" Danica struggled for the right word. "Too much?" August asked nervously. "I can take it down. We can eat inside like usual." "No," Danica said quickly. "It's lovely. I was going to say it looks romantic." August's eyes met hers. "Is that okay? Was it?" Danica wasn't sure. They'd been dancing around this thing between them for weeks, neither of them putting a name to it, both pretending that their dinner conversations were just friendly chats. "I guess we'll find out," she finally said. August smiled and led her to the table. He'd ordered from a different restaurant tonight, a steakhouse downtown that Danica could never afford on her own. "Malik loves the science kit," she told him as they ate. "He says it's the best present he's ever gotten. Even better than his bicycle," August beamed. "I'm glad. Has it helped with the volcano?" "Not yet. He was hoping you might have some expert volcano advice." "I might," August said, "though volcanoes were never my specialty. Robots were more my thing." "He'd love to hear about the robot you built as a kid," Danica said. "He asks about you all the time." August looked surprised and pleased. "He does?" Danica nodded, taking a sip of the wine August had poured. It was expensive, she could tell, but she appreciated that he never made a show of his wealth around her. "He asked when he could meet you," she admitted. August tried to hide his eagerness, but Danica could see it in his eyes. "What did you tell him?" "That maybe someday." "And what does that mean?" August asked gently. "Is someday a polite way of saying never?" Danica set down her fork. "I don't know, August. Whatever this is between us, it's complicated." "It doesn't have to be," he said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "I care about you, Danica. I think you care about me too. What's complicated about that?" "Everything," she said with a small laugh. "I'm August Thorne. I'm a single mum who works at a diner. And those two worlds don't mix, not in real life." August's grip on her hand tightened. "This is real life, right here, right now. You and me, talking. That's as real as it gets." Danica looked out at the ocean view, the infinity pool, the manicured gardens. "This isn't my world, August." "It could be," he said quietly, "if you wanted it to be." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Danica pulled her hand away gently. "You make it sound so simple." "Maybe it is," August insisted. "Maybe we're the ones making it complicated." Danica stood up, suddenly needing some space. She walked to the edge of the patio, where a glass railing was all that separated the property from the cliff's edge. The ocean stretched out below, waves crashing against rocks. August followed but kept a respectful distance. "I'm sorry if I'm pushing too hard. I don't want to scare you away." "You're not scaring me," Danica said, still looking at the ocean. "I'm scaring myself." "What are you afraid of?" he asked. Danica turned to face him. "Getting hurt. Malik getting hurt. Building something that can't last. Why are you so sure it can't last?" "Because I've been here before," Danica said, her voice catching. "Not with a billionaire, but with someone who made promises, who seemed different, special. Malik's father told me he loved me, that we'd be a family. Then when things got tough, when being a parent was harder than he expected, he left." August moved closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "I'm not Malik's father. I know that. But the risk is the same, maybe even greater." Danica shook her head. "If it were just me, maybe I'd take that chance. But it's not just me." "Malik matters to me too," August said. "I would never do anything to hurt him." "Not intentionally," Danica agreed. "But what happens when you get tired of playing family with us, when the novelty wears off? When you realize that being with me means parent-teacher conferences and sick days and homework battles?" That's what you think this is for me. A novelty. I don't know what it is, Danica admitted. That's the problem. August was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he took a step closer to her. When Claire died, I thought that was it for me. One chance at happiness gone. I threw myself into work because it was the only thing that didn't hurt. I built this house to be away from everyone, because being alone seemed easier than risking connection again. He took another step toward her. Then you knocked on my door, and for the first time in 10 years, I felt something. Not just attraction, though there was that too, but a sense that maybe I wasn't meant to be alone forever, that maybe there was still a chance for me to have what I thought I'd lost. Danica felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. August, let me finish, he said gently. I know this is scary, it's scary for me too. But Danica, when I look at you, I don't see a waitress or a delivery driver. I see the woman who made my empty house feel like a home again. The woman who talks about her son with such love it makes my heart ache. The woman who saw past the money and the name to the lonely man underneath. He reached out and brushed a tear from her cheek. I'm falling in love with you, Danica Price. And I think, if you're honest with yourself, you might be falling for me too. Danica knew she should step back, maintain the boundaries she'd set. But standing there, with August's words wrapping around her like a warm embrace, she couldn't find the strength to pull away. I am, she whispered, and it terrifies me. August's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. Slowly giving her every chance to pull away, he leaned down and kissed her. It was gentle at first, tentative. Then Danica's arms went around his neck, and the kiss deepened. All the feelings she'd been holding back, all the longing and fear and hope, poured into that single moment of connection. When they finally broke apart, Danica kept her eyes closed, for a moment catching her breath. That was, she began. Worth waiting for, August finished, his forehead resting against hers. Danica laughed softly. I was going to say unexpected, but yes, that too. August took her hands in his. I don't want to rush you. We can take this as slow as you need. But please don't push me away because you're afraid of what might happen. Let's at least see where this could go. Danica looked into his eyes, seeing nothing but sincerity and hope. Okay, she said, but Malik comes first. Always. I wouldn't have it any other way, August assured her. They returned to the table, the air between them charged with new possibility. As they talked, Danica found herself relaxing, letting herself imagine a future where August was part of their lives. It was still scary, still uncertain, but for the first time it also felt possible. When it was time for her to leave, August walked her to her car as usual. This time, though, their goodbye kiss was long and sweet, full of promise. When? Can I see you again? August asked. And not just for a delivery. Danica thought for a moment. Malik has a field trip this Saturday. I was going to use the day to catch up on housework, but let me take you somewhere, August suggested. Anywhere you want to go. Surprise me, Danica said with a smile. But nothing too extravagant, okay? I'm still getting used to all this. No private jets or yachts, August promised with a grin. Just a normal date with an abnormal guy. Danica laughed and kissed him once more before getting into her car. As she drove home, she felt lighter than she had in years. The practical part of her brain was still sending warning signals, reminding her of all the ways this could go wrong. But for once, she chose to listen to her heart instead. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Sunny but not too hot, with a gentle breeze. Danica hadn't been on a real date in so long that she stood in front of her closet for nearly an hour, trying to decide what to wear. She settled on a simple sundress and sandals, nothing fancy but nicer than her usual jeans and t-shirts. After dropping Malik off at school for his field trip, she drove to August's house, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. August was waiting outside, leaning against a vintage convertible that definitely wasn't his usual sleek black car. Whose car is this? Danica asked as she got out. Mine, August said with a smile. I've had it since college. It was the first thing I bought when my first company started making money. Danica ran her hand over the perfectly restored red paint. It's beautiful. I thought it would be more fun for today than the other car, August explained. opening the passenger door for her. "So where are we going?" Danica asked as they headed down the winding road. "First stop is a little place I know for breakfast," August said mysteriously. "After that I have a few ideas, but we can play it by ear." The little place turned out to be a charming beachside cafe with tables right on the sand. It wasn't fancy or exclusive, just good food and a beautiful view. Danica appreciated that August had chosen somewhere she would feel comfortable, not an upscale restaurant where she'd be conscious of using the wrong fork. "How did you find this place?" she asked as they ate fresh blueberry pancakes. "Back when I was starting out before the big success, I used to come here to work," August explained. "The owner, Maria, let me sit for hours with just a coffee. When things took off, I made sure to help her expand the cafe." He nodded toward an older woman behind the counter who waved at them. "You did that a lot, didn't you?" Danica observed. "Helped people who were kind to you when you were nobody." August looked pleased that she'd noticed. "I try. Success doesn't mean much if you forget where you came from." After breakfast, they spent the day exploring the coast. August took her to a small town he loved, with quirky shops and art galleries. They walked along the beach, talking and laughing. He bought her a small painting from a local artist when he noticed her admiring it despite her protests. "It's not expensive," he assured her, "and the look on your face when you saw it was worth 10 times the price." Throughout the day, Danica was struck by how normal August seemed away from his mansion. He joked with shopkeepers, held doors open for strangers, and never once pulled the "Do you know who I am" card when they had to wait for a table at lunch. "You're different today," she commented, as they sat on a bench overlooking the harbor eating ice cream. "Different how?" August asked. "More relaxed, less lonely." Danica licked her cone thoughtfully. "Up at your house, even when you're smiling, there's always this sadness around you." August considered this. "The house has a lot of ghosts," he admitted. "I built it after Claire died. It was supposed to be my sanctuary, but it became more like a beautiful prison." "Why do you stay there?" "I don't know," August said honestly. "Maybe punishment? A reminder?" He shook his head. "But you're right. I am happier out here. Happier with you." He took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "Thank you for today, for giving us a chance." Danica smiled, leaning against his shoulder. "Thank you for being patient, for understanding why I needed time." As the sun began to set, they reluctantly headed back. Danica needed to pick up Malik from his friend's house where he was staying after the field trip. When they arrived at August's house to get her car, he turned to her before she could get out. "Danica, I was thinking," he began, suddenly nervous. "Would you and Malik like to come for dinner tomorrow, here at the house? I could show him the workshop and maybe help with that volcano." Danica hesitated, but only for a moment. After today, after seeing August outside the confines of his mansion, her last reservations were fading. "I think he'd love that," she said. "And so would I." August's smile was radiant. "Really? You're sure?" "I'm sure," Danica confirmed. "But, August, I need you to understand something. Malik gets attached easily. If we do this, if you meet him, spend time with him, there's no casual option here. You're either in our lives or you're not." "I want to be in your lives," August said, without hesitation. "Both of you, for as long as you'll have me." Danica nodded, reaching out to touch his face. "Then we'll see you tomorrow." Their goodbye kiss was different this time, deeper, more certain. When they finally broke apart, August looked dazed. "What time should we come?" Danica asked with a smile. 4. That gives us time for the workshop before dinner." 4 it is. As Danica drove to pick up Malik, her mind was racing. Was she making the right decision? Was she moving too fast? But the memory of August's smile, the feeling of his hand in hers, the way he'd spoken so honestly about his fears and hopes, it all felt right in a way nothing had in years. When she arrived at Tommy's house, Malik came running out, full of stories about the field trip to the aquarium. "And then we saw a real octopus. It was so cool, Mom. Did you know they have 3 hearts?" Danica smiled, listening to his excited chatter as they drove home. When there was finally a pause, she said casually, "So I was thinking we might do something special tomorrow. What kind of special? Malik asked, immediately interested. Well, remember my friend August, the one who gave you the science kit? Malik's eyes widened. Are we going to meet him? If you want to, Danica said. He invited us to his house for dinner. He has a workshop where he builds things, and he said he might be able to help with your volcano. Yes! Malik punched the air excitedly. Can we go now? Why do we have to wait until tomorrow? Danica laughed. Because it's already late and you need a bath and bed. Is his house really big? Tommy said your friend is probably rich because only rich people give science kits that expensive. His house is pretty big, Danica admitted. But that's not what matters. What matters is that he's kind and that he really wants to meet you. Is he your boyfriend now? Malik asked directly. Danica thought about it. After today, after their conversations and kisses and shared hopes, there was really only one answer. Yes, she said, I think he is. Is that okay with you? Malik considered this with the seriousness only an 8-year-old could muster. Does he make you happy? The question caught Danica off guard. Yes, she said softly. He does. Then it's okay, Malik decided. As long as he knows I'm the man of the house. Danica laughed, ruffling his hair. I'm pretty sure he knows that. That night after Malik was asleep, Danica sat on her small balcony again. But this time, instead of doubt and fear, she felt hope blooming in her chest. She thought about August's words, I'm falling in love with you, and realized she hadn't. Said it back, not in words anyway. But tomorrow when he met Malik, when she let him fully into their lives, he would know. And maybe then she'd find the courage to say the words aloud. For the first time in years, Danica allowed herself to imagine a future filled with more than just survival. A future with laughter and partnership, and yes, love. It was still scary, still uncertain, but it also felt right. Tomorrow was a new beginning. For all of them. Mom, is this tie okay? Does it look stupid? Malik stood in front of the bathroom mirror, frowning at his reflection. He was wearing his school uniform pants with a button-up shirt and a clip-on tie that was slightly crooked. Danica smiled, adjusting the tie for him. You look very handsome, but you don't need to wear a tie to meet August. It's just dinner, not a formal event. But Tommy said you have to dress fancy when you go to rich people's houses, Malik insisted. And you're wearing a dress. I'm wearing a dress because I like this dress, Danica explained patiently. And August wouldn't care if we showed up in pajamas. He wants to meet you, not your clothes. Malik considered this, then reluctantly removed the tie. Can I at least wear my good sneakers? The ones Grandma sent for Christmas? Of course, Danica agreed, ruffling his hair. Now hurry up or we'll be late. As they drove to August's house, Malik bounced with excitement in the passenger. Zeet. He had brought his volcano project with him, carefully wrapped in a plastic bag. What if he doesn't like me? Malik asked suddenly, his voice small. Danica glanced at him, surprised. Of course he'll like you. Why wouldn't he? Malik shrugged, looking out the window. Dad didn't like me enough to stay. The simple statement hit Danica like a physical blow. She pulled the car over to the side of the road and turned to face her son. Malik, look at me, she said gently. Your father's choices had nothing to do with you. Nothing. He wasn't ready to be a parent, and that's on him, not you. But what if August decides he doesn't want to be around kids either? Danica took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. August is different. He already cares about you, even though he hasn't met you yet. That's why he sent you the science kit. But Malik, even if things don't work out with August and me, it won't be because of you. And no matter what happens, you will always have me. Always. Malik nodded, seemingly satisfied with this answer. I think I'm going to like him, he decided. Anyone who knows about science is probably pretty cool. I think you're right, Danica agreed, pulling back onto the road. And I think he's going to like you too. Very much. When they arrived at the gates of August's property, Malik's eyes widened. Whoa, this place is like a castle. It's pretty big, Danica agreed, as the gates swung open automatically. Does he have a swimming pool? Tommy's cousin has a pool, and Tommy says it's awesome. Yes, he has a pool, Danica said, but I don't know if we'll be swimming today. But maybe someday, Malik asked hopefully. Maybe someday, Danica echoed, smiling at his enthusiasm. August was waiting for them outside when they pulled up. He looked both excited and nervous, dressed casually in jeans and a simple button-down shirt. When Danica and Malik got out of the car, he approached them slowly, his eyes moving between mother and son. "Hello," he said, stopping a respectful distance away. "You must be Malik. I'm August." Malik studied August with open curiosity. "You're taller than I thought you'd be," he observed. August laughed, relaxing a little. "And you're exactly as smart as your mom said you were." "She told you I'm smart?" Malik asked, pleased. "She tells me how smart you are all the time," August confirmed, "and how brave and kind and good at science." Malik beamed, then thrust forward the plastic bag he was carrying. "I brought my volcano. Mom said you might help me make it explode better." "I'd be honored," August said seriously. "Should we take it to the workshop?" "Yes," Malik agreed enthusiastically. August looked at Danica, his eyes asking if this was okay. She nodded, smiling at his careful approach. "The workshop is this way," August said, gesturing toward a side path. "It's where I build all my projects." Malik fell into step beside August, immediately peppering him with questions about robots, volcanoes, and whether he had ever built a rocket. August answered each question patiently, matching his pace to Malik's shorter strides. Danica followed behind them, watching their interaction with a mix of emotions. Seeing August with Malik, being so careful, so attentive, made something warm bloom in her chest. Whatever happened between them, she could see that August genuinely cared about making her son feel comfortable and valued. The workshop was a large outbuilding behind the main house, filled with tools, equipment, and half-finished projects. Malik's eyes were as wide as saucers as he took it all in. "This is the coolest place I've ever seen," he declared, running from workbench to examine everything. "Careful with the tools," Danica cautioned. "It's okay," August assured her. "I put away anything dangerous when I knew you were coming. Everything out is safe to touch." Malik had already unwrapped his volcano, placing it on a clear workbench. "See, it looks good, but when I put in the baking soda and vinegar, it just kind of bubbles a little. It doesn't explode like Tommy's did at school." August examined the papier-mâché creation seriously. "Well, I think I see the problem. The opening at the top is too wide. We need to make it narrower to create more pressure." He looked at Malik. "Do you want to fix it together?" "Yes," Malik said eagerly. For the next hour, Danica watched as August patiently worked with Malik, showing him how to adjust the volcano's shape and mix the right proportions of baking soda and vinegar. August was a natural teacher, explaining concepts in ways Malik could understand without talking down to him. When they were ready for the test, August had Malik put on safety goggles, like real scientists. They added red food coloring to the vinegar, and when Malik poured it into the volcano, it erupted spectacularly, sending a fountain of red foam shooting up and out. "It worked!" Malik shouted, jumping up and down. "Mom, did you see? It really exploded." "I saw," Danica laughed. "It was amazing." "Can we do it again?" Malik asked August. "We have enough supplies for one more eruption," August said, "but then we should clean up and have dinner. Your mom tells me you like pizza?" "Pizza is my favorite," Malik confirmed. "Mine, too," August said with a smile. After the second successful eruption and a thorough cleanup of the workshop, they headed to the main house. Danica was surprised to see that August had transformed the formal dining room into something more casual and kid-friendly. Instead of using the enormous dining table, he had set up a smaller table by the windows overlooking the ocean. There were colorful plates, pizza in delivery boxes, and a pitcher of lemonade. "I thought about cooking," August admitted to Danica, quietly. "But I wasn't sure what Malik would like, and I didn't want to mess up our first dinner together." "This is perfect," Danica assured him, touched by his thoughtfulness. During dinner, Malik continued his stream of questions, now expanded to include August's life, his companies, and whether he had video games. "I have a few games," August said. "Maybe after dinner I can show you." "Really?" Malik looked to his mother for permission. For a little while, Danica agreed. "But we can't stay too late. You have school tomorrow." "Do you have to work at the diner tomorrow too?" Malik asked Danica. Yes. Morning shift, she said. August looked troubled by this but didn't comment. Instead, he asked Malik about school, listening intently as the boy described his teacher, his friends, and the upcoming science fair. Are you going to enter your volcano? August asked. Malik nodded enthusiastically. Now that it really works, I think I could win. I bet you could, August agreed. Science was my favorite subject in school too. After dinner, as promised, August showed Malik his game room, which had both video games and classic board games. While Malik explored the options, August pulled Danica aside. He's wonderful, he said softly. Just like you said. He likes you, Danica replied. I can tell. August looked relieved. I was so nervous. I haven't been around kids much since... He trailed off, but Danica understood, since he lost his own child. You're a natural with him, she assured him, squeezing his hand. They were interrupted by Malik calling for August to come see the game he'd chosen. As August went to join him, Danica watched them together, her heart full. This was what she'd been afraid of, what she'd tried to protect herself and Malik from, the possibility of another person becoming important to them, becoming family. But, seeing them together, she couldn't bring herself to regret her decision. The joy on Malik's face, the gentle way August guided him, it was worth the risk. Later, as they were preparing to leave, August walked them to their car. Can we come back? Sometime, Malik asked. You said you'd show me how to build a robot, remember? Any time you want, August promised. With your mum's permission, of course. Malik turned to Danica with pleading eyes. Can we come back this weekend? Please? We'll see, Danica said, not wanting to commit just yet. Say thank you to August. For today. Thank you for fixing my volcano and for the pizza and for letting me play games, Malik said in a rush. Then, to Danica's surprise, he hugged August around the waist. August looked momentarily stunned, then carefully hugged Malik back. You're very welcome, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I had a great time. Me too, Malik said. Bye, August. With that, he climbed into the car, immediately buckling his seatbelt. Alone for a moment, August turned to Danica. Thank you, he said quietly, for trusting me with him. Thank you for being someone worth trusting, she replied. August leaned down and kissed her gently. Drive safely. Let me know when you get home. I will, Danica promised. As they drove away, Malik waved enthusiastically until August was out of sight. Then he turned to Danica with a serious expression. Mom, I really like August. He's nice and he doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby, and he knows cool stuff. I'm glad you like him, Danica said, relieved. Do you like him too? Malik asked. Danica smiled. Yes, I like him very much. Good, Malik said with satisfaction, because I think he should be part of our family. Danica nearly swerved off the road. What? Well, Tommy has a stepdad, and he says it's pretty cool having two dads. I think August would be a good second dad. He already helps me with science stuff, which is what dads are supposed to do, right? Malik, Danica said carefully. August and I are just starting to date. It's way too soon to be thinking about him being part of our family. But someday, maybe, Malik pressed. Danica sighed. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of, Malik getting attached too quickly, expecting too much. But looking at his hopeful face, she couldn't bring herself to shut down the possibility entirely. Maybe someday, she said. But for now, let's just enjoy getting to know him better. Okay? Malik nodded, seemingly content with this answer. Can I call him tomorrow and tell him about what happened in science class? We're learning about dinosaurs, and I think he'd find it interesting. We'll see, Danica said again, making a mental note to talk to August about boundaries and expectations. When they got home, Danica texted August to let him know they'd arrived safely. His response came immediately. Thank you for today. Malik is amazing, just like his mom. Sweet dreams. Danica smiled at the message, warmth spreading through her chest. Whatever concerns she had about moving too fast, about risking their hearts, seemed less overwhelming in the face of the genuine connection she'd witnessed today. Over the next 2 months, August became a regular part of their lives. Weekend dinners at his house turned into a tradition. He helped Malik with his science fair project, attended his school play, and even joined them for a parent-teacher conference when Danica's shift ran late. August respected Danica's boundaries, never pushing for more than she was ready to give. He understood her caution, her need to protect Malik from potential disappointment. But with each passing week, those boundaries softened as Danica grew more confident in their relationship. For his part, August seemed to blossom with them in his life. The sadness that had haunted his eyes when they first met was fading, replaced by something lighter, more hopeful. He repainted his home office in bright colors, filled the empty bookshelves with volumes he thought Malik might enjoy, and even started working less, prioritizing time with them over business meetings. One evening, after Malik had fallen asleep on August's couch during a movie night, August turned to Danica with a serious expression. "Can we talk?" he asked, taking her hand. "That sounds ominous," Danica said, only half joking. "It's not," August assured her. "At least I hope not." He led her out to the patio, where the stars were bright overhead, and the sound of waves crashing against the cliff created a peaceful backdrop. "These past 2 months have been the happiest of my life," August began. "Having you and Malik here, making this house feel like a home, it's more than I ever thought I'd have again." Danica nodded, her throat tight with emotion. "It's been wonderful. For us too. Malik adores you." "And I adore him," August said seriously. "Both of you." He took a deep breath, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Danica's heart skipped a beat. "August." "It's not what you think," he said quickly, opening the box to reveal a key. "Well, not exactly." "A key?" Danica asked, confused. "To this house," August explained. "I want you and Malik to feel like this is your home too, to come and go as you please, to have a place here." Danica stared at the key, emotions swirling through. "I know it's a big step," August continued, "and if you're not ready, I understand. But I want you to know that you're welcome here. Always, whether I'm home or not, this place is yours too now." "August, I don't know what to say," Danica said honestly. "You don't have to say anything right now," he assured her. "Just think about it. No pressure." Danica looked at the key again, then back at August's hopeful face. "It is a big step," she agreed. "But—" She reached out and took the key from the box. "I think we're ready for it." August's smile was radiant. "Really?" "Really," Danica confirmed. "But I have one condition." "Anything," August said immediately. "We keep my apartment, at least for now. It's important for Malik to have consistency, to know that we still have our own space." August nodded. "Of course. Whatever makes you both comfortable." He hesitated, then added, "I have something else to ask you." "You're full of questions tonight," Danica said with a small smile. "I've been thinking about this for a while," August began. "You're working so hard, between the diner and the deliveries. I see how exhausted you are sometimes." Danica stiffened. "I can take care of myself and Malik. We've managed just fine." "I know you can," August interrupted gently. "That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you shouldn't have to work so hard just to get by." "What are you suggesting?" Danica asked cautiously. "I'm offering you a job," August said. "A real one with benefits and reasonable hours. At my foundation." Danica's eyebrows shot up. "Doing what?" "I don't have the qualifications to work at a charitable foundation." "That's where you're wrong," August said. "We're starting a new program for single parents, helping them access education and job training. Who better to help coordinate that than someone who knows exactly what they're going through? You're smart, organized, and you understand the challenges better than any consultant with a fancy degree." "August, I don't want charity," Danica said firmly. "It's not charity," he insisted. "It's recognition of your value, your experience. The position would pay fairly and you'd still be working, just doing something more meaningful, with hours that would let you be there for Malik after school." Danica was quiet for a long moment, considering his words. "I'd need to think about it," she finally said. "This is a lot of change all at once. Take all the time you need," August said. "The offer isn't going anywhere, neither am I." Danica looked up at him, this man who had entered their lives so unexpectedly and changed everything. "I love you," she said softly. the words coming easily now after weeks of feeling them in her heart. August's expression softened. "I love you too, both of you." He pulled her close, kissing her under the stars. As Danica leaned into his embrace, she thought about how far they'd come from that first night when she delivered food to a lonely billionaire. She thought about Malik, sleeping peacefully inside, secure in the knowledge that he was loved. About the key in her hand, offering them a place in August's life, his home. About the possibility of a job that would give her more time with her son, more financial security, more purpose. It was everything she'd never dared to hope for, materializing, when she least expected it. Later that night, after August had carried a still sleeping Malik to the car, after he'd kissed Danica goodnight with a promise to call tomorrow, she sat in her apartment looking at the key he'd given her. The practical part of her brain still whispered cautions, that it was too good to be true, that people like August didn't end up with people like her, that happiness this complete couldn't last. But her heart spoke louder now. Her heart remembered the way August looked at Malik with genuine love, the way he respected her independence while still wanting to make her life easier, the way he'd rebuilt himself after unimaginable loss, finding the courage to love again. If he could be brave enough to open his heart after everything he'd been through, she could be brave enough to accept the happiness being offered to her. She placed the key on her bedside table, a tangible symbol of the future they were building. Together, a future that had begun with a simple question on a night that seemed like a lifetime ago. "Do you have a minute?" As Danica drifted off to sleep, she thought about how that 1 minute had changed everything, had changed her, had given her and Malik a chance at the family they deserved, and she was grateful, so grateful, that on that night, tired as she was, she had said yes. 3 months later, on a perfect summer evening, August's mansion was filled with people for the first time since he'd built it. Friends from Danica's diner, Malik's teachers, August's colleagues, all gathered to celebrate a new beginning. In the garden, decorated with twinkling lights and white flowers, August stood with Malik at his side. Both wore suits, though Malik's tie was already crooked. "Are you nervous?" Malik asked, looking up at August. "A little," August admitted with a smile. "Are you?" Malik shook his head. "Nope. I've been ready for this for ages." August laughed, ruffling the boy's hair. "You're braver than I am, then." Music began to play, and the guests turned toward the house. Danica appeared in the doorway wearing a simple white dress that caught the golden light of sunset. She held a small bouquet of wildflowers, and her smile outshone them all. As she walked toward August and Malik, toward her future, Danica thought about the journey that had brought them here, about late-night food deliveries and conversations over marble countertops, about volcanoes and science projects and the building of trust, about learning to open her heart again, to believe in second chances. When she reached them, August took her hand, his eyes filled with love. Malik stood tall beside them, beaming with pride at his official role as best man and ring bearer, a title he'd insisted on. "You look beautiful," August whispered. "So do you," Danica replied, squeezing his hand. The officiant began the ceremony, speaking about love and family and the courage it takes to build a life together. But Danica barely heard the words. She was too busy looking at August, at the man, who had shown her that sometimes fairy tales did come true, at Malik, her brilliant boy who would now have the father he deserved. When it came time for the vows, August spoke from the heart, promising to love not just Danica, but Malik as well, to be a partner and a father, to create a home built on trust and respect. Danica's voice trembled slightly as she made her own promises, to believe in their love, to face whatever came together, to never take for granted the gift they'd been given. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Malik cheered louder than anyone. August kissed Danica gently, then bent down, to include Malik in a family hug. Later, as they danced under the stars, August held Danica close. "Happy?" he asked. "More than I ever thought possible," she replied honestly. "Me too," August said, looking around at their home, now filled with life and laughter. "You were right, you know." "About what?" "When you first came here, you said this wasn't a home, just a house. He smiled down at her. You changed that, you and Malik. Danica thought about the changes they'd made together, about the colorful paintings now hanging alongside August's darker canvases, about Malik's science projects displayed proudly in the living room, about the sound of laughter echoing through rooms that had once been silent. We all changed it, she corrected him. Together. Across the garden, Malik was showing his science teacher the workshop, proudly explaining how August had helped him build a robot that had won first prize at the science fair. Our son has your brains, Danica observed, watching Malik demonstrate the robot's features with expansive gestures. And your heart, August added, your courage. The word our filled Danica with warmth. August had officially adopted Malik that morning before the ceremony. They were a family now in every sense of the word. As the evening wound down, the three of them stood together on the patio overlooking the ocean. Malik, tired from excitement, leaned against August's side. Danica rested her head on her husband's shoulder, content in a way she'd never dreamed possible. Do you ever think about that first night? August asked softly. When you delivered food to a lonely man in a big, empty house. Often, Danica admitted. Everything changed in that moment. 1 minute, August mused. That's all I asked for. And look what we did with it, Danica said, gesturing to their home, their family, their life together. Best minute of my life, August said, kissing the top of her head. As stars appeared in the darkening sky, the three of them stood together, a family created not by blood, but by choice, by courage, by love. And Danica knew, with absolute certainty, that she'd never again doubt the power of a single minute to change everything. The end.